Hi everyone, I did my central message on emotional fear of crime versus perceived safety and risk, implications for measuring fear and testing the broken windows thesis. So the central message of this article really is that there is a lack of consensus in studying how fear of crime and how it's measured. Scholars often use perceived safety or risk for proxies of fear of crime instead of really focusing on more specifics. In this article, they mostly mention emotional fear and how it relates to the broken windows theory, and it's a very significant topic in how the broken windows theory is presented in this article. It talks about the emotional fear a lot. They say that how most of the past studies have really ignored victimization and the demographics of different neighborhoods, and they kind of ask more questions that are more general instead of specific to the crime. So just like, do you feel safe walking in your neighborhood? And they don't really mention like any crimes or anything to let them know how the fear is being portrayed. It's very like generalized, and throughout this article they really mention implications for how to measure fear a little bit more accurately than the past studies have. They talk about the prevalence of fear of crime, and that is how widespread that fear really is. The frequency of fear of crime, which is how often that fear comes for the crime. Magnitude of fear of crime, which is the severity of the crime or the fear. And then it also talks about the relationship between fear of crime and demographics, victimization, perceived disorder, and collective efficacy. And then the current results suggest that it is vital for researchers to be thoughtful about whether they are going to use perceived safety or risk or another measure like emotional fear, which if it is emotional fear, like the broken windows theory, then there needs to be care involved in the way that they structure their questions. It needs to focus more on the demographics, more on the victim instead of just being more general. The point really is that there's different reactions to a crime and people have different fears of crime, and past studies really just put fear of crime as so general, and they don't really focus on different measures of fear of crime. And it also suggests that future research should explore all various emotional and perceptual reactions to crime. Scholars should clearly label and discuss their outcome of choice and utilize a concept that fits their topic the best. This just means that there should be other ways to measure crime, and you shouldn't just put it all under one umbrella and picture that as fear of crime. There is other aspects involved in crime. You have to focus on the victim, you have to focus on the demographics, you have to focus on the emotional fear. You can't just focus on those other aspects that don't really broaden the subject.